Hello chess friends, and welcome to Jozarov chess channel, and welcome to a special story that I really have to share with you. In 2021 we'll have a new clash of the GOATs. We'll have a new clash between Magnus Carlsen and Garry Kasparov. So far they have played really great games, but Magnus Carlsen never managed to win Garry Kasparov. Their last game was in this Fischer random chess, in this rapid format, in which Garry Kasparov had a lost position but managed to get a draw somehow against Magnus Carlsen. And in my opinion, these two guys are really the GOATs when it comes to chess. These two guys are really the best in chess history. You can agree with me, you're probably not agreeing with me, but as I said, in my really honest opinion, these two guys, you can maybe say Garry is the best in chess history. I will agree with you. You can maybe say Magnus is the best in chess history. I will agree with you, but these two guys are simply the best. And as I said, I really am looking forward that these two guys are playing some more games. And the cool part is that these games will be played in Croatia, where I live, so I will be able maybe even to watch the games somehow live. I will try to get some tickets, so watching that would be really cool. Maybe taking some pictures or something. It will be really awesome, and it will be part of this Grand Chess Tour that's going on, and it will be in the month of July in 2021. Garry Kasparov gave an interview yesterday on here on one Croatian newspaper, and then he said he's going to play in the Blitz section. And I think Garry Kasparov has these opportunities when it comes to Blitz chess. If you have followed maybe the St. Louis chess club videos, then Garry Kasparov in one game really outplayed Fabiano Caruana in Blitz chess, although maybe when it comes to classical time format chess, I don't think that Garry Kasparov has chances against Magnus Carlsen anymore. But when it comes to maybe rapid Blitz chess, when it comes to really fast calculations, when it comes to tactics, still I think the beast from Baku has his chances. And as I said, this will be a sharp game. The interview basically that Garry Kasparov game was about global politics, and I'll show you the link of that interview in the description below. Maybe you can use some Google Translate and try to translate it for yourself. Actually, as I said, Garry Kasparov promised that he'll play in the Blitz section, and he'll play under the Croatian flag. If you don't know, Garry Kasparov has Croatian citizenship, and he's now living in the near Split. Here it's our second biggest town here in Croatia, so he's playing under the Croatian flag. And also our best player from Croatia, Ivan Šarić, will also performing in this very cool event. So as I said, I'm not so into this global politics, because there is something that bothers me always about global politics. Global politics is a thing that people like to talk about, but actually they don't know anything about, so including me, because we don't know what's really going on behind the scenes. And I think that although Garry Kasparov is really a smart guy, but I don't think that he has all the facts to explain us everything what's going on in the world. Because people, when they vote, for instance, like we had the elections in the USA, maybe there are elections of course in Russia, and in maybe bigger countries, and maybe in even in every country when you have these elections. The problem is now always that you think, when maybe your guy is elected that you have voted for, that people used to think that this guy will change their lives, but that's actually not so, because you have to change your lives for yourselves. You have to make something for yourself, because no politicians will really change your life, because politicians always find good ways to have a good life for themselves, not for you. There are of course exceptions of the rule, but as I said, when it comes to politics, I don't think that we have all the facts to make conclusions. And for instance, there was this election in the USA, and now people that used to maybe vote for Joe Biden, they thinking like, okay, now our problems are solved, now everything will be great because this guy was elected. So as I said, not that I'm rooting for Biden or for Trump. I don't care who won the elections in the USA. Really, I don't care about that. That's not the point. I'm just saying that sometimes people think that this guy will solve their problems. That's why I don't like to pick so much about this global politics, because it's a deep subject, and we actually don't know what's going on in the world. So yeah, I like to say global politics is like commenting on our neighbor's underwear, or our hot neighbor's underwear. So we like to have an opinion about that, but we don't know actually what's going on out there. So as I said, it's simple as that. don't get I don't know what to say, but don't get so excited about politics, because you have to take care of your own lives, and then maybe the slightly nuances a politician can improve for you, but you have to take care always first for yourself. So I've prepared now two great games by the GOATs, by Garry Kasparov and Magnus Carlsen. The cool part about these games is will be that Garry Kasparov, the great tactician, will play here an outstanding positional game, and Magnus Carlsen, the great positional player, will play here a great and sharp tactical game. So I decided to make it like this because I wanted to show you that these two guys had everything. They had positional understanding, tactical skills, opening preparation, really all of the necessary elements of the chess game that you need in order to be really the GOAT, like I like to call them. So let's see now Garry Kasparov's game. It was c4. It was the game against Nigel Short. Here we have e6. It was the game played in 1988. Here d5, d4, bishop to e7. So far we have the Queen's Gambit declined, c takes d5, Garry goes into exchange variation with e takes d5, and now bishop to f4, we have c6, and now queen to c2. And the cool part about this game is that I used the same setup many times against the Queen's Gambit decline. So it was now a really instructive game for me, because I missed sometimes a couple of lines that I will apply now in the continuation. I will try this out for sure, what Garry Kasparov did here. After move g6, you see now there is always this relation between bishops and pawns. I talked about that millions and millions of times on my YouTube chess channel. When we evaluate pawns, when we evaluate bishops, always you have to calculate how many pawns do you have on light squares, how many pawns do you have on dark squares. And it's obvious that black has many pawns on light squares. So it's not so good then to have a light square bishop. So in order to simplify the position, for black, is the best way is to go bishop to f5 and don't hope after e3 bishop to d3 to get rid of the bad bishop, because this bishop, I like to still call it a bad bishop, because the bishop has of course a great activity, but when it comes to potential endgame, I just wanted to imagine maybe the position here without many pieces on the board, when you have maybe just this pawn structure and maybe two light square bishops on the board. Then this light square bishop could always attack these pawns, and this light square bishop would be always a little bit stuck and would always have to defend its own pawn. So that's why here I like to call it still a bad bishop. So when it comes to the relation between bishops and pawns, I think these are very important strategies for you to recognize, count how many pawns do you have, what could be a good bishop in the continuation of the game, what could be a good bishop in a potential endgame. You have to also think about this kind of stuff in chess. So here after move g6, here e3, now comes this idea bishop to f5, and as I said, bishop to d3 would be a positional mistake here for white. Not that this move is losing for white immediately or something, I just don't like it, because black will solve all of the positional problems. And look at this dark square bishop now. You see now the dark square bishop of blacks is perfectly fine, because you see we have many pawns on light squares, and when it comes now the dark square bishop of white, it's a good still bishop, because it has a good activity. But in the potential endgame, this dark square bishop would be always stuck to the defense of its own pawn. So that's why it will be a slightly worse bishop than the bishop of black. So here after move bishop to f5, that's why Garry goes queen to d2. Queen to b6, b3 is also not so good, because you get simply queen to b6. After queen takes b6, a takes b6, and I think again black has a comfortable game. Black will proceed with c5, b5, b4, a4. Black will find great ways to attack this position. There is also the tension on the a file, so I think from this point on black has really a comfortable game. So queen to d2, we have knight to f6, f3, c5, and now bishop to h6. A very nice move by Garry Kasparov. Now actually if bishop to f8 happens, then we're getting rid of our bad bishop here from white's perspective. Bishop to f8, king to f8, then okay, black can still secure the king. It's not the position in which the king is endangered, but you see now black is continuing really the bishop, which is always a little bit stuck to the defense of its own pawn. So when it comes to bishop's activity, white is much better. So here a knight from bishop to e6 was played by Nigel Short, knight from g to e2, knight from b to d7, bishop to g2. We have knight to b6, preparing c4 ideas. That's why b3 by Garry Kasparov. Here rook to c8, castling. We have rook to c6 and now h3, fixing the position. And you see now how great this positional understanding of Garry Kasparov was. He maneuvered simply all of his pieces now towards the king side. Now he get a huge activity on the king side here after move h3, knight from f to d7 was played, knight to d1, remaneuvering the knight on a new square, on a better square. Here rook to g8, knight to f2, we have f5, and here rook to e1. You see every piece is on the king side, every piece is aiming towards black's king. Really nice attacking setup by the beast from Baku, of course. So here g5, we have g takes f5, very nice move to split the position, to open the position somehow. After move bishop to f7, after move bishop to f5, still knight to g3 will happen, or we can even try here something like bishop takes g5 is also the possibility, because you cannot take. Rook to g5, queen to g5 will happen. So it's a great tactic that can also be played. So here after the move g takes f5, knight was short played bishop to f7, but now knight to g4, here bishop to h5, knight to g3, and here after the move knight to g3, actually it was the position in which Nigel Schultz resigned, because after bishop to g4, f takes g4 could happen, and also bishop to g5 is working again also. So it's not a problem with attacks against the e7 square, so it's a lost game. The evaluation is +7 here for white. So let's see now another game by another GOAT. Here it's a game played by Magnus Carlsen against Evgeny Barev from 2009. Here Magnus Carlsen was 19 years old. Magnus opened with move e4, c6, d4, d5. We have the advanced variation of the Caro-Kann defense, very important stuff. And again, this relation between bishops and pawns, I really have to mention this again. You see now, because if you play e6 in this advanced variation, your bishop is simply blocked out by its own pawns, so you have to get out with this bishop to f5, here bishop to e3. And as I said, black would really love that white plays here to move bishop to d3, and then black would maybe get rid of his bad bishop, because you see many pawns again on light horse. Bishop to f5, so that's why Magnus goes bishop to e3. We have e6, knight to d2, knight to d7, knight to f3, f6, tracking the position around the square e5. We have bishop to e2, knight to e7, castling, and now queen to c7 by Evgeny Barev. And he's attacking now the e5 pawn, and I think Magnus showed here really some great attacking skills, because he realized that actually black will have problems to castle. First of all, he played the move c4, and the idea behind this move, if black castles after c takes d5, rook to c1, the c file could get opened. This would be very dangerous. When it comes to kingside castling, I think black will need too many tempi in order to secure the king. You see, you have to play something like knight to g6, then bishop to e7, and then castling. So these are 3 moves. Still, this bishop is unclear, because this bishop could be used maybe as an object of the white's attack, h3, g4, simply getting new attacking possibilities. So as I said, really wild position already. Black has troubles here to castle. Here in the game, f takes e5, d takes e5, knight to e5, knight to e5 by Magnus, queen to e5, knight to f3, attacking the queen. Here queen to d6. Okay, Barev has now 1 pawn, but it's Magnus that has actually a great game, because you see now every piece of Magnus Carlsen is playing. This bishop is blocked out by its own knight. Again, I'm pointing out knight to g6, bishop to e7, kingside castling is simply taking too much time. Here Barev tried b6, Magnus goes rook to c1, bishop to g4. We have c takes d5, e takes d5, rook to e1. Magnus attacks now the position. He's trying to play knight to d4, attacking the c6 pawn, liberating maybe also the e file. So that's why Barev tried here bishop to f3, bishop takes f3, and now after castling, pause the video and try to see now the best tactic here. Try to see now the best next move, which Magnus Carlsen of course saw. Okay, a great tactical shot that Magnus saw was the move bishop takes b6, and after a takes b6, here is the great new tactic, queen to b6. You see here Barev tried h6 to develop somehow these pieces, but now rook to e7. After bishop to e7, we have rook to c6, here king to d7, here queen takes d6, here after bishop to d5, g3, here h5, queen to b5, king to d8, and after bishop to c6 in this position, Evgeny Barev resigned. So this was the tactical Magnus Carlsen, and we have also seen the positional Garry Kasparov. There were, of course, reversed roles here. But as I said, I'm really looking forward to watch a new clash between the GOATs, between Magnus Carlsen and Garry Kasparov. Be prepared. This will be wild. 2021, I think, will be a great one. Great year for us chess lovers. And I'm really looking forward. I hope I'll get some tickets in order to watch the two GOATs competing against each other. And I really would love to see that thing live. So okay, I hope that you enjoyed this game. Really these games, they were, I think, very cool and very instructive. If you want to see the careers of Magnus Carlsen and Garry Kasparov, I started their careers on my YouTube chess channel, The Path to Glory by Garry Kasparov, and also the life and chess games of Magnus Carlsen. Here are the links. You can maybe also check out some new games by the two of them. Even if you like this content, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. See you soon with some more videos, and chess is the best, of course.